From Columbia, in high definition, this is WIS News 10 Awareness.
Think pink. This October, it's the signature color used to raise awareness for breast cancer research. A much-needed movement, as in this year alone, the American Cancer Society estimates more than 230,000 women will be diagnosed with the disease. Thank you so much for joining us for Awareness. I'm your host, Megan Norman. One survivor had no family history of breast cancer. She had never really done a self-breast exam before, and it was a chance encounter with WIS that changed the course of her life. Celia Richardson did not want to believe it was true.
I was pretty scared, but I'm a strong person, and I just convinced myself that it was not really cancer. But if I was wrong.
August 19th, 2005, everything changed.
I was getting ready to go to work on a Friday morning, and I was watching WIS TV, and Hannah Horn was talking about having mammograms. And I was not in the habit of having giving myself a self-breast exam. But it made me think, you know, I haven't done a self-breast exam in a long time. And so I raised my right arm and put my left hand over here, and I immediately felt a lump.
She and her husband went to the doctor later that day.
She, of course, felt the lump and said, "I'm afraid that is a cancer."
The diagnosis, HER2 positive. She cried. Her husband cried. Then she thought about her daughter.
I was devastated because I thought I wouldn't be at my daughter's wedding. And I thought if I was, I'd be going down in a wheelchair, and I knew I wouldn't have any hair.
10 days after her diagnosis, she had a mastectomy. She thanks the treatment choice and medication for saving her life.
I asked my doctor his opinion about removing my second breast, and he said that it was my choice, but he would suggest I do that. And I didn't even have to think twice about it. I'm still very much a woman, and I'm alive because I got rid of them.
She also says her husband has been her rock, by her side from the beginning.
I often tell people that it was harder on him than it was me because men want to fix things, and he couldn't fix it.
Celia walked down the aisle at her daughter's wedding and danced with her sisters.
I was so proud to walk down the aisle, wig and all, with my wonderful husband and with my daughter behind me waiting to come through the door. It was a wonderful day.
Celia Richardson joins us now with more on her courageous journey. Thank you for being with us, Celia.
Thank you.
Talk to us a little bit about the importance of your support system, because your husband and your daughter were instrumental to you.
My husband is the natural caregiver. Many men are not. But he is very much a natural caregiver, and he was just there always for me and very supportive. He even fixed all my meals when I didn't feel like fixing them. But he was just a wonderful support, and went to the doctor with me and told me I could make it through. And he was hurting, I think, worse than I was, but he says that I was strong, and that helped him along too. But a support system is extremely important.
If you didn't have that support system, that rock by your side, what would have happened? Would it have been a lot harder for you?
Oh, I can't imagine going through it without someone supporting me. Fortunately, it was my husband, my daughter, my whole family supported me.
Now, you in the story mentioned you chose to have a double mastectomy and then later reconstructive surgery. Some women may be thinking out there, well, to lose your breasts, that loses an aspect of my femininity. What do you say to that?
Well, I can only speak for myself, and it didn't, because femininity to me is in my mind. And very fortunate for breast cancer survivors that we can get rid of the cancer, hopefully. And I was fortunate enough that I did get rid of it, and it didn't matter that those were missing, because, like I say, inside of me I am a woman, and that's what makes a difference.
And what were some of the ways you were able to stay positive through your entire process?
My sisters tell me that my mother is the reason, because she's very strong, and I got the strength from her. And then my support system kept me going. But I'm pretty much an optimistic person, and just always thought, well, I was going to come out on the other end shining, and I did, thank goodness.
Right. And a self-breast exam led to the discovery after seeing WIS?
Definitely, and I would encourage women. At one time they were saying not to do that it didn't really matter, but I saved my life by finding it. And along with, of course, the doctors and the treatment that I got. But I think it's a very important thing to do, and every woman should do it once a month.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Celia.
Thank you.
Early detection can make all the difference. Still to come on Awareness, we'll hear from a nurse practitioner and an oncologist with more on testing and treatment. With more than 2 decades of experience as an oncology nurse, Dadi Wadagaza has seen lots of changes in breast cancer treatment. But more than that, she's seen its effects in her own family, and that led her to make a radical decision. Dadi, you have been an oncology nurse for the past 22 years, and now you're working with breast cancer patients. Tell me a little bit about why you first got into oncology.
Well, I first got into oncology just as an answer to prayer. I was a single parent and I needed to find the right fit for being a single parent, and actually a door opened up for me to get into an oncology nurse position, and I never looked back after that, and that was 22 years ago.
And then after you first got into this, you realized that you yourself had a personal connection with breast cancer.
Yes, well, it was many years before that happened. Actually, I had an aunt, my father's sister, died of breast cancer when I was a teenager, and I had a first cousin on my mother's side that had passed away from breast cancer. But we have a large family, so that I didn't have an overwhelming family risk. But about almost 5 years ago, in fact this January it'll be 5 years, I got a call that one of my sisters had been diagnosed with a triple negative breast cancer. Which is a more aggressive form of breast cancer. And then exactly 2 years after that, another sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had it in both breasts, what we call bilateral breast cancer, which is a more unusual way to present with breast cancer. So all of a sudden, I became somebody with a very high risk for breast cancer, almost overnight.
And you had to make a decision at that point.
At that point, I had multiple breast biopsies myself because of a lot of fibrocystic, dense breast tissue. I was being followed closely, and so I made a very hard decision, but an important decision, and one that is certainly not for everyone. I decided to have bilateral mastectomies and reconstruction. And again, that was a very radical decision on my part, and it's certainly not for everyone, but because of my unique circumstances, my physicians felt that was appropriate for me.
Well, and you took it upon yourself to be educated. You saw the family history and you saw the risk that was now posed to you, so you made this decision that was best for you.
Yes.
And part of that is early detection and figuring out if you are at risk and making sure that you take care of yourself. So what do you say to women out there, and men even, about early detection?
Well, early detection, we've always said, early detection is your best protection. The #1 risk for breast cancer is simply being a woman. I find myself telling women that every day because they're diagnosed and they'll say, but I had no family history. Actually, the #1 risk is getting older every year and being a woman. So women sometimes quit getting their mammograms when they get in their 70s, but they actually need to get them even more, because their risk goes up as they get older. What really sends up red flags as far as a family history would be people diagnosed, multiple people on the same side of the family, either your mother's or father, with a young age diagnosis. So before menopause, if you have people in your family that were diagnosed with breast or ovarian cancer especially, those are people that sends up, sort of a red flag that there may be something genetic going on in that family. But I always like to point out that it's really pretty rare to have a gene mutation for the breast cancer, the BRCA1 or 2 gene. Only about 7 to 10% of women that all the women that have breast cancer, only 7 to 10% of them end up with a gene mutation.
And what about, you talked about mammograms, what about the self-breast exams? Are those just as important?
Yes. We strongly advocate for women to still do a monthly breast self-exam, just one time a month. If you are postmenopausal, then you can do it, just pick the day of the month you want to do it. Women that are premenopausal should do it 1 week after their menstrual cycle, and you're just looking and feeling for any changes in the breast. I get at least one woman a week that finds their own lump. The mammogram is the best test that we have to find early breast cancers. Women who get yearly screening mammograms are more likely to be diagnosed with a very early breast cancer, something that's smaller and easier to treat. But even a mammogram is not 100% perfect. We can miss things. There's one kind of breast cancer, the kind that starts in the milk gland instead of the duct, that doesn't show up on a mammogram. And about 15% of women get lobular carcinoma, so it doesn't show up. So the only way those women are going to find that early is by feeling as well as having the mammograms.
And once a lump is detected and they come to you, let's say, what's the next step? Let's talk about the biology of the tumor.
Well, once we diagnose a breast cancer, nowadays we do needle biopsies in the breast centers, and we usually know the diagnosis within 24 hours in most cases. At that point, the pathology department begins doing a series of tests to find out, all right, is it the most common type of breast cancer that we see, which is the kind that starts in the milk duct, and that's what most people get. But then we know that all breast cancers don't act the same way, so they begin doing tests on the biology of the tumor that can predict how this tumor is going to behave. 3 of the things that we do right up front on the needle biopsy are looking at estrogen receptors, progesterone receptors, and something called HER2/neu. And some cancers have an overexpression of this HER2/neu oncogene, and those are more aggressive cancers. So those would report out as HER2/neu positive. And then we talked about triple negative. I said I had a sister that was triple negative. That means hers was estrogen receptor negative, progesterone receptor negative, and HER2 negative. That's a group of women that have a more aggressive behaving tumor. So we could know really up front if that patient is going to need chemotherapy or not.
And finally, what do we say to women and men out there? This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. What is one takeaway you want them to leave with today?
Get your mammograms, do your breast self-exams, and get a physical once a year. Those are the 3 things that can help to ensure early detection. And again, that's your best protection.
With more now on the latest breast cancer treatment is Dr. Scott Summers with the Cancer Center of the South Carolina Oncology Associates. Thank you so much, Dr. Summers, for being here with us.
Thanks for having me here.
We know that there is an array of different treatment for an array of different types of cancers. What is some of the newest technology, newest advances when it comes to breast cancer treatment?
Yeah, probably the newest and most exciting treatments were really in women like Cecilia, who was on earlier with the HER2 positive cancers. There's been Herceptin, which was developed several years ago, an antibody to that funny protein that's on the breast cancer cells. That's really radically changed treatment for that type of breast cancer. And there's 2 new types of treatment for women with HER2 positive cancers. One's called TDM1, which actually takes that antibody and links it to a chemotherapy. So the antibody directs itself towards the cancer cells and sort of is a smart bomb for that chemotherapy to try and direct it more towards the cancer cells and avoid healthy tissues. And that's caused nice improvements in women's survival. The other treatment with HER2 disease is a cousin of Herceptin, so to speak, called pertuzumab, which has been shown in combination with Herceptin to improve outcomes both up front after surgery and women who have had it spread or metastatic disease. So both of those treatments have been very exciting and very new advances for women with this HER2 positive cancer.
When I was talking to Celia earlier, she said Herceptin saved her life. She had, I think, a little over a year of chemotherapy and radiation, but she says the Herceptin is really what stops the reoccurrence. Is that how Herceptin works?
It does. It used to be the fact before Herceptin, really women with HER2 positive breast cancers, that was the worst type to have and the most aggressive type. And Herceptin and now these newer treatments are really turning it into a much more treatable disease and improving cure rates for women with HER2 positive disease.
Now, HER2, is that a protein that's naturally found in the body that in some cases can turn cancerous, or what is it?
So cancer cells at their base are really normal cells that have gotten mistakes in them and grow out of control. And they do it through many ways, and they turn on things that normally are off. But HER2 is another type of protein that helps tell cells when to turn off and turn on, and it becomes turned on in women with breast cancer. The antibody can bind to that and help turn it off and slow the growth and allow chemotherapy to help, and also the immune system.
Okay. Now, we've talked throughout the show a lot about mammograms and self-breast exams, some controversy with the age of when to get a mammogram. What do you recommend?
Yeah. Last year, the United States Preventative Task Force did recommend in their guidelines that women under 50 didn't need screening mammograms. Now, certainly there's controversy on the research and on their efficacy in women under 50, but we still feel that the vast majority of research says that mammograms for women age 40 and above yearly are helpful and do save lives. And the American Society of Clinical Oncology still recommends yearly mammograms starting at age 40, at least through age 75, and then on a health basis after then.
What if you have a family history?
Anybody with an extensive family history of breast cancer or ovarian cancer, as Dottie was speaking to in her piece, they should speak with their physician, actually, because certain women with higher risks, and we have some sort of calculators that help figure out a woman's lifetime risk based on family history and other things. They may can be considered for MRIs along with their mammograms to help detect early. And so that's only a discussion you can have with your physician to determine if you may be at higher risk.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Summers. Really great advice. So get your mammograms. Coming up, a gala in pink highlighting breast cancer awareness, where you can hear a message of hope from a national recording artist. Plus, lightening the load with a tank of gas. How one organization is making sure trips to the doctor are a little easier on the wallet. That's up next on Awareness. Taking trips to treatment can certainly take a toll, physically, emotionally, and even financially. One organization, Sisters Inspiring Sisters Incorporated, is helping to lighten the load for women battling breast cancer through its Honor Her Journey gas card campaign. Angela Carr-Patterson joins us now with more. Angela is actually with the Love Experience Women's Conference that's held in Atlanta this year. And we also have Sandra Golden Brown, and she is with the Brooklyn Foundation with the gala coming up on Wednesday. Thank you ladies both for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, Angela, let's talk a little bit about your organization and the event that's coming up.
The event is actually October the 25th through the 23rd, and it's going to be held in Atlanta. We take women away from their homes, so they have a retreat, a place where they can come to be enlightened and to be empowered and to refresh and enliven themselves. And for 3 days, that's what we're going to do with these women. And we're partnering with the Sisters Inspiring Sisters Incorporated gas campaign, where we're going to be providing gas cards for women to get back and forth to treatment, breast cancer survivors to get back and forth to treatment. Because when something like that hits a home, it can have some catastrophic effects on the finances. And so just something as simple as helping a woman to get back and forth to her treatment means so much to them.
Right, that in and of itself is motivating and empowering.
Absolutely, and everyone we're giving $25 gas cards each, so that goes a long way, a long way.
And have you done your conference before or your event before?
This is our 7th year, and it is an amazing event. It's an incredible event, and women come from all over the country there. And for 3 days, they're going to be empowered, entertained, enriched, and it's about actualizing the power of self-love to create enormous success in your life.
All right. Thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you.
And Sandra, a gala coming up on Wednesday.
Yes, we are so excited. This is our 5th annual The Color Pink Gala. It was started in 2009, and our first speaker in 2009 was Bernadette Stannis. Remember her, Thelma from Good Times. In 2010, we had Lynn Whitfield. 2011 Vanessa Bell Calloway, and last year we had Cora from Meet the Browns. And this year is our 5th year, and we're really excited about it. It's a celebration. Generally, when cancer patients are diagnosed, and especially with breast cancer, the 5th year is the important year for survival. So we're celebrating really big this year. We have national recording artist, Miss Darlene McCoy, and she's going to sing, and we piggybacked off of the most prevalent song that she has out right now, I Shall Live and Not Die. So that's our theme, and we're celebrating 5 survivors, and we're really excited about it.
What a great theme.
Yes.
Well, we will have more information on both the events on our website. Thank
Okay,
you, ladies, for
thank
joining
you very
us.
much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with a final thought. Stay with us. One thing echoed throughout today's show is early detection makes the difference. Self-exams and mammograms are the best way to catch breast cancer while there is still a chance to fight it. To find a breast imaging location near you, call the number on your screen, 803-296-8888. We would like to thank Celia Richardson, Dottie Wadagaza, Dr. Scott Summers, Angela Carr Patterson, and Sandra Golden Brown for joining us today and giving us some insight. You can always stay in touch with us on our Facebook page and our website, wistv.com. Until next time, I'm Megan Norman. This is Awareness.